YouTube, it's your girl Kat. I'm back again today with another video. This is the final video, video 5 of the grief series. Today I'm going to be talking about phases 8, 9, and 10, which are understanding and acceptance, healing, and then moving forward. So with that out of the way, let's do our intro so that those who don't know who I am can get a little familiar with me. My name is Kat. I am a 47-year-old birth mom in reunion for the past 3.5 years with my 31-year-old daughter. So this last part of the grief series is to where I am today. I've gone through the first 7 phases. This is going to be 8, 9, and 10. 10 is going to be the last one, and where I feel I'm at today in my reunion grief that I've gone through. So in my last video, I ended with anger, and I'll link that video right here. And so now after that anger, and I was done, not suppressing it, but I was done going through the motions with that portion of my grief. If you hadn't watched the video, I had gotten really angry at the coercion tactics that were used against me, at you know, my family, and then just I went through all of the things from the past, but then I started to get angry at current events too, because in my birth mom groups, there are a lot of younger birth moms or expectant mothers who just think that adoption is all roses and butterflies. And, you know, I would try to tell them, like, you know, I'm 31 years in, and, you know, it's not as great as you make it, you know, seem and as you think, because I know that, you know, there's a lot of adoption propaganda that is fed to you at that time. So after that grief left, I started to move on to understanding and acceptance. And what this looked like for me was I started to think about the understanding aspect of it. So I started to understand, you know, the what ifs. Even though I still do them, they're not going to change anything. I think I still do the what ifs because maybe I don't want to let go. Like, part of me feels like if I completely heal and I'm all, you know, great with everything, not that I'm happy about it, but a part of me feels like if I let go grieving, then, you know, that I'm a bad person, that I'm a bad birth mom, that, you know, I'm not you know, I'm not worthy of being in my daughter's life or something like that. I don't know if you know, get my drift, but it's just like I feel like I need to still have some type of you know, feeling there. I mean, in the what ifs, you know, it's kind of nice too, like, oh, what if we did this and what if we did that? But now it's also kind of like, what if we're gonna do this? You know, what if we did this in the future, and what if we did that in the future? So those are kind of some what ifs. But I started to understand that all those what ifs, they're gone. I can't get them back. You know, I'm never gonna hold her hand as a little girl. I may never hold her hand as an adult, but, you know, I'll never hold that hand, you know, that little pinky, and, you know, I won't, you know, cover up her boo-boos, and I won't, you know, you brush her hair. Then I also started to understand that grieving the loss of that isn't gonna it's not gonna change anything. So the what ifs aren't gonna change anything, and grieving that loss of her isn't gonna change anything. Like, I started to become aware that I should be grateful that we did meet each other so young, because she was only 28 and I was 43 at the time. I think I was just going to turn 43 because it was September. So you know, like I started to realize those types of things, like, wow, we have a lot of time ahead of us. Yeah, I lost 28 years, but there's a lot more in front of us. So I started to like have some of those types of understandings. And I also started to understand, and I mentioned this in the last video too, that the anger was starting to affect me as a person. Because I had started to kind of work towards not being that type of angry person. And it's kind of, you know, me regressing back into, you know, when I was younger and everything, especially throughout my 20s. I was miserable. So I didn't want to be that person. And I also started to see that it was holding me back because I was just like, I was at this point where I was angry, where all I was doing is staying in this Facebook groups to argue. And so it was holding me back from doing everything else. I would just sit there and engage. So I started to realize that as well. And I really didn't want to stay in that state any longer. I wanted to let it go. Like, I knew that it was something that I had to work towards letting go. So those were the understanding aspects of it. The acceptance aspects of it were basically, you know, that it's not going to change and it is what it is, you know. And so this was kind of like, that's why I put them together, understanding and acceptance, because once I finally understood that, you know, the what ifs are, you know, I'm not going to get them back. So it is what it is, you know. So I had to accept it for what it is. And I had to just, like I said before, just say, hey, you know, we lost 28 years, but we have the rest of our lives, you know. And so unless something happens, knock on wood, you know, we have plenty of time ahead of us. So, you know, I'm looking forward to that. And I had to give myself that acceptance. I started to accept that we have a great relationship and we're developing this really cool relationship that, you know, we didn't have before, but it's not really strained or anything. We're like in a good place. I think we're open enough with each other and everything. So I started to accept that as like, I'm lucky, you know, like we're both kind of have the same mindset as to how this relationship is developing and how it's going along. And I think both of us taking our time and taking so much time from initial contact and you know, initially finding ourselves till now, because, you know, it's been 3.5 years. Like, we didn't meet for 11 months. She didn't meet my family for 2 years. And then, you know, with COVID kind of slowing everything down too, you know, we started to go back doing our monthly lunches and everything. So there's been little steps along the way. And I think it saved us a lot because we weren't so rushed and we really took our time. So I started to accept that, you know, we're doing good. We're in a good place. And I can't have these regrets hold me back. I can have the regrets, but I don't want them to be a black cloud over my head, you know, saying, hey, be miserable all day, every day. Like, I just don't want that. I want to be a happy person, not only for myself, but for her as well. Because if I'm miserable, then she's either going to be miserable too, or she's going to be like, I don't want to deal with her. So I don't want either one. So that was the understanding and acceptance aspect of it. And these last three kind of really went together, but they were like separate little facets of the grief process. So, but they kind of all went together because it makes sense that they would. As I began to accept and understand I started to heal. And what that was like for me, it was refreshing. So since my 30s, I've really tried to think more positive and suppress the negative thoughts in everything. Like, and I'm talking about, you know, like, oh God, it's a rainy day. Instead of saying that, it's, oh great, it's a rainy day. We haven't had rain and the flowers really need it. So things like that, like, you know, just in every kind of aspect of my life. So, and this is part of how I started to also pull myself out of this anger and everything, and started to understand and accept and heal, because I started to see the positives in everything, and because I didn't want to harp on the negatives anymore. So that really helped me. And by me practicing it in my everyday life, you know, it was something that came a little bit easier for me. If you're consistently pessimistic, then it's going to be a little bit harder, but you have to see the rainbow after the rain, you know, to give you such a, you know, an ordinary cliche, but you have to see that. You have to, even if that rainbow never shows up, it's actually there. You just can't see it. So you have to be able to see that. Even if everything goes all wrong, there's always a possibility that, you know, if you become estranged again with your child, that they do come back in later years. I've heard of it happening. In my Birthmom groups, you know, people have said, 7 years ago, you know, they shut me out and I thought that I would never see my son or daughter again, and they just called me and said they want to try again, you know, because they've worked through some of their stuff. So there's always a possibility. There's always a possibility. So I would say never give up. I mean, I know that is super easy to say, and I know that I am in a great relationship with my daughter, and I'm super grateful and thankful for that. And I hope everybody gets the opportunity that I have with their child that they gave up for adoption. So a little bit more about my healing. The way I also aided myself in healing was I started to meditate. Now I've always kind of meditated, and I don't do it consistently. I am not that good at it, but I started to just 5 minutes. You know, sometimes I would lay down and, you know, just try to meditate. I would tell Alexa, because if I say it, she's going to do something, to play the Om sound, which, you know, and then that's just chanting and bells. And like, I mean, I tried everything. What really helped me, the meditation that really helped me though, and I never thought that it would, because I thought that it would just be annoying, was guided meditation, where somebody kind of just walks you through it. And like, if you go on YouTube, and I should link some down below, and they have like 10-15 minute ones. It doesn't have to like consume a big amount of time, but it really helped. It really helped to kind of just calm my brain and calm the thoughts and everything. But I tell you, what really, really, really helped me, and I paired it with meditation, was binaural beats. And I think I'm saying that properly, but it's Binaural. Binaural beats is generally, you're supposed to listen to it with headphones, because if you don't listen to it with headphones, it's not going to work. But it's generally a specific frequency that they pair along with music. And sometimes you can hear it and sometimes you can't, but there's also subliminal messages that went with it. And, you know, some people would say to me, aren't you scared that they're saying something bad? No, because I don't think that, you know, somebody who's trying to make a business out of this would say bad things and put bad subliminal thoughts in my head. And so far, so good. There are two that I basically go to, and I will link them down below as well. When I initially started to do it, and you might think I'm crazy, but I got a lot of static. And supposedly, if you read about it, it's supposed to, for lack of better terminology, rewire your brain. Okay? So I would hear like a lot of static and like zaps. Like it was like static, you know, zaps. Like kind of like how when you get shocked, you know, like you touch somebody after you rub your feet on the floor and you hear, and that's what it kind of was. And I honestly feel like it helped my brain to calm down, and it helped my brain to kind of rewire itself. So binaural beats, they really helped me a lot. A lot of people say that they can't listen to them, that it's annoying. Well, turn it down then, so you can't hear the megahertz. And there are a whole bunch of different ones. You know, you want to get past 7 minutes when you listen to binaural beats, because it takes your... The other thing about them is that it's a megahertz frequency, but they're played in different ears at different times, so that your right brain will work when your left brain is used to working, if that makes sense. Like usually your left brain is doing all the work. Well, because they play it in this ear instead of that ear, it makes your right brain do the work, and it helps to balance everything out. And you can read about it. Like I said, it's binaural beats, Binaural beats, Beats. They helped me immensely, probably more so than a meditation. But I would, you know, to take 10 or 15 minutes, because you have to let 7 minutes elapse, and then your brain starts to recognize the frequency and starts doing the healing that it needs to do. So that really helped me a lot. So the binaural beats with the meditation, and that was just, you know, sometimes it'd be half an hour. Be aware too, you might fall asleep with the binaural beats, because it's kind of hypnotic, you know, because I also lay there. You can sit so that you don't fall asleep, but I usually lay down. I think it really helped me. I saw a really big notice even after the first couple times of using it. So I would check that out if you want to. It's harmless. It's free. You just need headphones. You know, so I would, you know, there's nothing to watch. You don't watch anything. It's just the sound that you want. But it's all free on YouTube. There's tons of places that, you know, offer them. So moving on, the other thing that really helped me was starting to listen to music again. I used to listen to a lot of music in my 20s, my teens and my 20s, a lot of reggae in my 20s. And reggae, I listened to a lot of what you call rub-a-dub, which they really don't make anymore, but it's kind of like close dancing type of music, or roots and culture. And roots and culture is very, how do I describe it? It's very, very positive type of music. There's a lot of God references, that because they call God Jah, so they will reference Jah a lot, and they will reference, you know, having a lot of strife, but still being a positive person and still being a good person, and not letting things get you down. It doesn't matter how many holes you have in your sweater. You be thankful for food that is, given to you, and things like that. Like, it's roots and culture. It's very, very positive type of music. And I used to listen to a lot of that. And I stopped. In my 30s, I started to get away from music and everything, and that's when a lot of depression came for me too. I listened, my 20s were my partying years, especially the early 20s. After I was 25, I started to calm down, but I would still definitely, I did it up in my 20s. Let's just be truthful. It doesn't matter. I had a house, I had a pool table in the basement. I had people coming over all the time. It was a great time. But I listened to a lot of that. So I think that kept me uplifted a little bit. And then I stopped listening to that for a while. I stopped listening to all music. So I started to listen to music again, and really listen to lyrics, but not even that. Just letting the music make me happy. Because, you hear a beat. Doesn't matter if you understand what they're saying or what the words are or anything. Like, the beat, you just want to move to the beat. So that really started to help me too. Along with that was trying to eat better. When I eat like crap, I feel like crap. And now, look I'm not any small spring chicken. For the majority of my life, I was stick thin, but then I quit smoking in 2017, and then I found my daughter in 2018, and I blew up. I gained 60 pounds, and that's where I'm at today. So, and I eat very unhealthy, because when I quit smoking, I said to myself, oh, well, I'm just gonna, eat whatever I want, because I did this great big thing and I deserve it. I deserve to be able to eat, whatever I want. Well, wrong idea, because I ended up eating, these 4 donuts. Beautiful. I could eat them all. So I would eat 4 donuts. I don't know what I was thinking. So, and then I found my daughter a year later, when I was going to start to go on a diet, but then that, just went out the window, because then I'm just, binge eating because I'm happy depressed. So, I'm overweight, definitely, right now. But when I eat crappy, I feel crappy. And I feel sluggish, and I feel unmotivated, and I feel just gross. So I try, to eat better. I'm still addicted to food. And I really want to try this January. I'm going to be trying some new things, see if they work for me. But really, the only reason why I stay overweight is because of the choices that I make. So, the food choices. But eating healthy, eating a salad, just, I don't know, it does something to you. It's oh, well, now I have, this different kind of energy. This sugar energy will, make you crash. And then, just laughing more, finding funny things. I can't tell you. Have you ever heard of the Impossible Jokers? They're 4 guys from Long Island, I think. Or they were from Queens. I don't know. They were somewhere in New York. But they're 4 guys, and they started this comedy act and this comedy show on, I think it was True TV. And they would play pranks with each other out in public, but people wouldn't be the wiser to what they were doing. So they would tag team each other, and they would go into a grocery store, and one person would have to distract somebody, and then the other person would take things out of that person's cart, and they would try to distract the person so that they don't get caught. Stupid things like that. It was stupid. But it was so funny. And I cannot tell you, there was this point in time when I was so depressed. I could not get out of bed for nothing. And I started watching them. And I had found them somehow. And I tell you, just laughing, just having them make me laugh, that changed everything. And then I would start like, okay, I'm gonna shower today, and like little things, like I didn't even realize that the impossible jokers, like if they ever knew, when I was kind of like out of that depression, I was like, maybe I'm gonna write to them and let them know like how much they actually helped me, because you know, just them making me laugh dug me out of this depression. Like completely. Like it's all because of them. There's nothing else that has helped me as much during that time than the Impossible Jokers. I started going to the gym, and I would watch them at the gym a little bit, but you know, they really, really helped me. And it was probably a good 3 months, and I would just binge watch their videos because it helped. It was helping me laugh. And then dancing, like, I don't know, like I'm stupid and I'll just dance around my kitchen a little bit. Or a song will come on and I'll be like, hey. And then, you know, okay. So I told you about my little Korea obsession. So I'm super into BTS right now. And I have been for a little while, but when they came out with their first American song, Dynamite, I loved that song. And I would have it play every morning at 11 o'clock. Because it is just, I mean, the lyrics are, life is dynamite. So it would just be a reminder to me, no matter what was going on, life is dynamite. Life is great. Like, you know, whatever. Life is still, life goes on. Well, they have a song about that too. But, you know, life goes on. Life is great. Life is dynamite. You know, so the lyrics really spoke to me, and I would have it play every day at 11 o'clock. And then for some reason, Amazon stopped having it on that Alexa app because all of a sudden, you know, it stopped playing. So I realized it was back again. So now at 8 a.m. every morning, that song wakes me up. And it's just a great start to my day to give me a reminder that life is dynamite. Because I'm not about to let anything else like hold me down for the rest of my life. I'm 47 years old, you know, so I'm basically halfway through life, you know, so I don't want to be a miserable person for the rest of my life. So I wake up in the morning, even if I fall back to sleep after the song is on, it's like that little subconscious note in my ear every morning is just like, hey, it's a reminder, life is dynamite. So thank you, BTS, as well. So those are the things. So those are the things that really helped me start to heal, and gave me some sort of healing and everything. You know, and honestly, to tell you the truth, having a good relationship with my daughter, I have to give her credit too for being open and being cool and understanding and having a part in you know, having a relationship with me too. So, you know, I have to give her credit as well. She has made it easy. If you know, things were different, I probably would have had different outcome. And everyone is different. So, you know, some of these things you might not be interested in doing. You might not be interested in meditating or binaural beats or something. Maybe, you know, you like to go hiking, which I do too. I just don't have the time for it. Maybe, you know, getting outside, you know, that would help you. Maybe, you know, if you started to go or got a pet or something like that. Maybe, you know, anything. So you need to find what's going to help you start to heal. And it might just, you know, pop up one day. You might not know. It might just pop up and you weren't expecting it. So that's how I started to heal. Every story is different. My phases aren't concrete. They're not set in stone. Going after this, it could change. obviously probably in a few years, I'll, update this whole grieving series and add things on, because I'm sure things will change. I'm sure we're going to go through different, more phases and everything. I'm only 3.5 years in, but that was, I'm assuming like the first part is the hardest. So that's why I'm, I think the first part will stay how it is, but that's probably a main focus. But I just want this to be a guideline for people, and to help them, and so that they know they're not alone, and everybody has a struggle with this, because it's not easy. Everybody's, oh, it's great, you're in your reunion. It's not easy. Nothing about it is easy. It's not easy for birth mothers. It's not easy for adoptees. I'm sure it's probably not easy for adoptive parents either, but I kind of, tend to not focus on them, because they were the initial winners in the whole adoption thing, because they got the baby that they wanted, but the baby lost their family and the mother lost their baby, so that they can have a new family. So one family was terminated in order to make another family. But I'm not going to even go down that road right now, because that's a whole nother video and talking about that and everything. And I don't mean that in a bad way about adoptive parents or anything either. I just try to focus on birth moms first, because I'm a birth mom and I want you to know that you're not alone, and adoptees, because they didn't have a choice in the matter, and because I created one. So I want to focus on her as well. So moving on to moving forward. So what this looks like, only time will tell. Right now, we've both met each other's immediate family. She's met my parents and my sister and my niece. I've met her parents and her sisters, and her daughter, obviously my granddaughter. So we've gone through all the initial first steps. We've gone through the major milestones. One thing that I did bring up to her a couple months ago is I asked her, I was like, you're not a secret. Everybody knows about you. Never intended to keep you a secret or anything. Would you be interested in meeting any of my friends? Because I'm sure they would like to meet you. So I brought that up to her and she agreed. So that's like one of the next steps we're doing right now, is she's going to be this coming year. She's going to be meeting some of my friends. I have like this many friends. I don't have a lot of friends. My circle is small. And each friend is like in a separate group. So I have my friend that I've known since I was 18. She's going to meet her. I have my cousin Joe and his girlfriend. So that's not really a friend. That's my cousin. But he's going to meet her. And then I have another friend who I've known for like 11 years. And she's really invested in this story and everything. And then I have my Hungarian friends that they'd be interested in meeting her. So, it's a group of maybe 4, 6 max. But really, those 4 are really the only people I actually, talk to and hang out with. And then I would feel like I would want her to meet them. Like, okay, this is my daughter, this is my close friend, and she's important to me, so I'd like you to meet her and everything. So, it's not a, huge amount of people, and it won't be overwhelming for her, like, coming into this huge group of, all these loud, people or anything like that. So, as I was making my script, it was funny because I was like, this is almost like dating. When we first met, it was us meeting and then getting to know each other, and then I met our parents, and then she met my parents, and now she's meeting my friends, you know, so it's like those types of steps. I mean, we're not dating or anything, but it's funny because it's kind of like that. Like, you take your time and like, okay, well, if you're not good enough, then we don't need to go to the next step. Because if she thought I was a crazy wackadoo or something, I'm sure she wouldn't have been going forward with me. So, you know, we probably would have ended it there. One thing I've never done, and this was a big thing, I think, in the books that I read too, is I never pressure her. I ask and I make suggestions. If she doesn't respond, or she responds in a kind of roundabout way, I sit with that and I may ask again. And if it's still in a roundabout way, then I kind of get the drift. And that she's like not interested in that. But you know, if she is interested in it, she usually says right up front, you know, like, yeah. So that's one thing that you have to be aware of too, is don't pressure them. You know, ask. Let them lead. Like, ask them questions and ask them how they want, you know, this to go and everything like that. When we initially, you know, started to write to each other, I was like, I'd rather not answer any of the tough questions until we meet in person. But then the second letter, she was like, well, I want to know this, that, and the third. And I was like, well, I guess I'm not going to do it in person. But you know what? Hindsight, it probably would have been a million times more difficult to do it in person than it was to do in writing. Because I actually took 3 weeks to do it. And I made sure every detail was in there, and that it was worded in a way that was gentle, you know. So, I mean, she kind of made a better decision for me. It seems like she probably always would. So, you know, let them take the lead. Let them, you know, allow them to make the choices, and don't put pressure on them to you know, move forward in a faster pace than they're ready to. Because sometimes, you know, I've heard some people, we took 11 months to meet, but I've heard some people that they're still communicating only by text after 3-4 years. Because, you know, the adoptee's just not ready, you know, and a lot of times it's a younger adoptee. My daughter was 28, so, and I think that's like a good age, because you kind of went through all the adolescence and you're starting to like mature and think about things in a different way. So yeah, we're just going to take it day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, and see how things go. Nobody knows what the future will bring. Knock on wood that we're still hanging tough, you know, 50 years from now. Well, 50 years from now, I'll be 97. 30 years from now. Because even then, I'll be 77. But, you know, only time will tell. We can only go forward and do, you know, whatever we're doing at that moment. We can't rush things. I'm always going to have bad days. I'm always going to carry some type of grief with me. But I'm hoping that the good days start to outweigh the bad. And they really have. And I just try to be positive and think well thoughts, good thoughts. Mother's Day still sucks. I think it always will. That is one day that I just hate. This year, today is actually Christmas, and I'm filming, but, you know, it's a good Christmas this year. It's the first time since I was little that I'm not sad. There's like absolutely no sadness within me. I used to get very like grumpy, and just, I didn't want to partake. I hated seeing family and everything. So, you know, the holidays have gotten easier because of reunion. But Mother's Day, that'll always be my, I don't want it. I don't want to deal with it. You know, her birthday is easier. Her birthday is easier, but Mother's Day is still, ugh. I don't want anything to do with it. But in ending this grief series, I have to say that the sun seems to shine down upon me a lot more than the rain these days. I think things are good. In a few years, I will update this and look back on it and see where we are and how far we've come and you know, that's about it. So this is another long one, but it's the last one, and it was 3 phases. The last 3 phases, 8, 9, and 10. So next time I will have just a random, you know, one-shot video for you guys. And that is all. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share, please. You know, this is important information to get out there for other people. And, you know, just give me a thumbs up. Please continue to watch, all right? Thanks so much, YouTube. Have a great night. Bye-bye.